Hello everyone, welcome back. Today this video is for class 7 students. My dear students, as you know, we have already completed up to lesson number 9 and only answer section is left out of this lesson number 9. And let me tell you the syllabus for half yearly examination or first midterm and half yearly both. First midterm we need to clear 1 to 5 and poem 3 and 5, and for half yearly 1 to 10 and poem 3 and 5 at the same time grammar section from page 87 to 98. So my dear students, as you can see, we have almost covered up the syllabus for half yearly, and 10 lesson number 10 up to 10 only one lesson is left out. So my dear students, I want you to read and clear the chapters which are already done. That's why we'll revise these chapters also. Mostly the difficult chapter, the tough chapter, where there is a little bit problem to understand. So I will try to revise those lessons, and I hope you will be sorely benefited with such revisions. Anyway, but today I am not here to revise any lesson, but today I would like to discuss the comprehension question answer section of lesson number 9, A Midsummer Night's Dream part 2. So my dear students, earlier one video was uploaded with the explanation of this lesson, of this play, and there was background music. That is why many of you told me because of that music you couldn't understand the story, the play properly. So recently, last night, I uploaded one video without any background music, and even although it was night, I randomly did that and I uploaded. I hope you have gone through that video, you have watched that video, and if not, please watch that video. I will give the link of that video in the description of this video, and I'm sure that video makes the play very clear in your mind. Okay, how the play ends, this is very important to know. The play, the plot, and the conflicts, the confusion that was created by the fairies, at the same time how they solved, okay, how they settled down that plots, and how did they bring back the harmony among these four Athenians. So that is very important. So please go through that video. If so far, if yet if you didn't watch, you have not watched, then I will provide the link of that video in this video description box. So please go through that. So anyway, let me discuss the answer section of this lesson, lesson number 9. You need to please open up your book on page 48. Page number 48, glossary section is there. I hope you have gone through it. Glossary section is very important. And my dear students, you are perhaps remembering, okay, when we had our regular modes of classes, and that time also I used to suggest you to go through the glossary section, and even I made you to write the word meaning of the glossary section, very important, and I hope you are doing the same thing. Now let me discuss this question. Comprehension. A. Answer the following questions. So my dear students, I will explain the question, because many times what it happens is that we don't understand the question, and because of that we may not write answer. Okay, so that such thing is not supposed to be there. That's why I would like to explain the question to you. So first question I can say here, what problem did Puck cause by mistaking Lysander for Demetrius? First question, Dear students, as you remember, Puck was instructed to put the juice of that purple flower, okay, on Demetrius' eyelids, so that Demetrius would love Helena. But Puck thought Lysander to be Demetrius, since both of them were wearing the same Athenian dress. That's why Puck put the juice of that purple flower on Lysander's eyes. So that was the grand mistake done. Okay, because of that mistake, the plot, okay, took a long time. The plot, and it was getting difficult. So actually, what is the main problem, okay, that arose because of that mistake, because of that Puck's mistake? The first question, ask this one, and answer is also here. Let me read out the answer of this first question. Puck had mistakenly put the love juice on Lysander's eyes, thinking him to be Demetrius, hasn't it? As a result of this, when Lysander woke up and saw Helena, he fell in love with her and started professing undying love for her. You see, because of that mistake, what happened? Okay, when Lysander woke up, he could see Helena. Okay, Lysander's first sight fell at Helena, and due to the effect of that juice of that love of idleness flower, he started claiming the truest love for Helena. So that was the main problem. Actually, Lysander was coming there, or Lysander was going through the jungle with Hermia to get married. But due to the effect of that flower, again Lysander started claiming love for Helena. And that is the great mistake. That is the problem, okay? Okay, which later took the bigger insight. So, my dear students, so this is the first question, and I have already given you the answer. I hope you got it. Second question, let's see. Why did the two former friends, Hermia and Helena, quarrel bitterly? Okay. In the part 2 of the play, we could see Hermia and Helena, who were best friends of each other, had quarreled bitterly. What's the reason of that? Why did these two best friends quarrel? So the question asks the reason of this quarrel. Okay, so reason, here is your answer. Helena and Hermia quarreled because previously Hermia was being pursued by the two men, one of whom she truly loved, but the effects of the juice had made both men spurn her and pursue Helena instead. Hence jealousy made them quarrel bitterly. So my dear students, as you all know the reason, hasn't it? The reason of quarreling of Helena and Hermia was that Lysander, actually, who loved Hermia, also started claiming undying love for Helena. And at the same time, Demetrius, whom Helena wanted to marry her, also started claiming the truest love for Helena. Now, okay, it seemed the changing of their minds suddenly, and how can it possible, or how is it possible? That's why Helena thought that the mastermind of all this thing is Hermia. So according to her, Hermia was the mastermind, and Hermia was making these two people to make a cruel joke on Helena. That's why she got angry with her, and Helena started quarreling bitterly with Hermia. So that is the simple reason the story tells us. Okay, and dear students, let's go to the next question. This is question number 3. What new instructions did Oberon give Puck? You know, my dear students, Puck is a very interesting, at the same time Puck is the main character, seems to be, because of whom this whole problem this arose, isn't it? Puck was a mischief right hand man of the king of the fairies, Oberon, and he loved making prank on people, and he liked to create problems, confusion and conflicts among the people. So when Puck was told to put the juice of that purple flower on Demetrius' eyelids, but mistakenly he put that juice of that flower on Lysander's eyelids, and then this problem started. Then later on, the king of the Paris, Oberon, instructed. But what was that instruction? What is that second instruction for Puck? The question asks this. So the answer of this question number 3, what new instructions did Oberon give Puck? Answer number 3 is, Oberon told Puck to create a thick fog so that Demetrius and Lysander may not be able to find each other and therefore would not end up killing each other. Then when they are tired and decide to rest for some time, Puck should put the juice of another flower on Lysander's eyes so that he may forget his new love for Helena and go back to being true to Hermia. This was the new instruction given to Puck by the king of the fairies, Oberon. So Puck was instructed to create a thick fog because Lysander and Demetrius also started fighting, and when Puck creates that thick fog, they will not find each other to fight because of that fog, and they would take rest, they would tired, and when they are taking rest, at that time Puck should go and Puck should apply the juice of another flower on Lysander's eye just to remove the effect of that previous flower. It was the antidote. Okay, so this was the instruction, okay, given to Puck by the king of the fairies, Oberon. So dear students, I hope you are understanding what I am saying, and especially the explanation of the question is very important. That's why I thought of this idea of explaining the question to you. And then question number 4, here is your question. What mischief had Puck been up to earlier that night? As you know, Puck was a mischief fairy and who liked making prank on people. So earlier that night Puck had done something, okay? So what is that? What did Puck do earlier that night? Question number 4. The answer of question number 4 is, earlier that night Puck had chanced upon a lost clown in the woods and had magically placed the head of an ass over the clown's own head. Wandering about the forget, the clown came upon the spot where Titania was sleeping. So my dear student, in the play we can see a character, clown. Actually, clown means such person who are foolish, okay? Foolish, not wise, and who looks ugly also. So earlier that night, while Puck was going, Puck could see that clown, okay, and with Puck's magic power, he changed the clown's head. He placed an ass head in clown's mind, clown's head. Okay, so that was the mischief that Puck did earlier that night, because Puck liked to make prank and Puck liked to create problems. So that's the answer of this question. And question number 5, how did Titania react on seeing the clown with the ass head? You see, Titania was already in the effect of juice of that purple flower, and when she saw the clown with an ass head, what was her reaction at the time? Okay, so this is the question, straightforward. How did Titania react on seeing the clown with the ass head? You just imagine any person with an ass head and a donkey's head, how it looks, isn't it? But due to the effect of that flower, Titania couldn't think, okay, as usual we think. So answer of question number 5 is, when Titania saw him under the effects of the love juice, she was instantly taken in by the clown. She thought he was angelic, beautiful, and wise. You just think, my dear students. So due to the effect of that flower juice, she thought the clown with an S head was angelic, so beautiful, at the same time so wise, and she immediately fell in love with that clown. It happened because of that flower juice. Okay, very short answer, very easy answer. And question number 6, why did Titania concede to Oberon's demand to have the boy for his page? Here page means, as I told you, my dear students, page means not the page of the book, P-A-G-E. It means here, it's a noun, it means here a servant. It is called an attendant also, okay? So there was already a problem between the king and the queen. The king wanted the boy to be his servant, to be his attendant, but the queen had refused earlier. But this time, why Titania surrendered, okay? Why Titania surrendered and why Titania didn't go against the king, Oberon? So what's the reason this time? So this is the question, and answer of question number 6 is, Oberon had successfully tricked Titania into falling in love with a donkey. He used that as leverage to demand the page from her, and this time she could not refuse because she was embarrassed. Now this is the twisting point. This was the trick, okay, had been applied on the Queen Titania by the king. Actually, king had applied the juice of that flower on Titania's eyelids. So due to the effect of that, Titania immediately fell in love with that donkey-headed clown. Okay, donkey-headed clown, you just think. And because of that, the king came and the king blamed the queen for being the lover of a donkey-headed clown. At the same time, he was the queen. Okay, so how could she be the new lover for that donkey-headed clown? And that's the thing. This time, the queen was harassed. Okay, embarrassed actually. And there was no option. So she had to agree. So she conceded. And she allowed the boy to be the page or the attendant or the servant of that king. In this way, the king solved the problem. This king made the queen agree what actually he had wanted. So my dear students, so these are the answers, and I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. And now we have 2 more questions, question number 7 and question number 8. Let me read out this question number 7. 7 says, asked what had transpired with the 2 couples in the meanwhile. My dear students, what had transpired with the 2 couples in the meanwhile? Here meanwhile means in the wood, okay, in the midst of the story. So what had transpired? You may ask the meaning of this word transpire. Actually transpire, it means take place, happening, okay. So the direct meaning of this question, what had transpired with the 2 couples in the meanwhile, means what took place in the meanwhile, okay, of the story. So what took place between the 2 couples, Hermia Lysander and Helena Demetrius. So what took place in meanwhile? So this was question number 7, and your question number answer number 7 is, in the meanwhile, the 4 lovers were lured to a spot by Puck where they fell into an enchanted sleep. Puck then put the juice of the other flower to counter the effects of the love juice and on Lysander's eyes. When he woke up and saw Hermia, his strong love for Hermia came back. When the other 2 woke up, Helena was astonished by the love still being showered on her by Demetrius. Everyone forgave each other and they decided to go back to Athens and marry who they pleased. Okay, after convincing Aegeus to drop the complaint against Hermia. So my dear students, this took place, okay, with the two couples in the meanwhile. Actually, what had happened? Puck, because of Puck, this all things happened, and he was instructed, and finally Puck went and Puck applied the juice of another flower on Lysander's eyelids. As soon as it was done, and they were made sleep that night, and when they woke up early in the morning, they could see all things were settled down. Actually, they were remembering all this plot, but it seemed to be some bad dream for them. Okay, so they forgave each other for all these things. Okay, as they were slightly remembering all things, and they decided to go to Athens and to convince Aegeus, Hermia's father, okay, to withdraw the death sentence against her. So this was the thing that transpired or took place with the two couples in the middle of the story. So it is found in the part 2 of the play. And the final question, question number 8. How did Theseus' unexpected appearance in the wood help the two pairs of lovers? You see, my dear students, okay, at that moment, Theseus, and do you remember who is Theseus? So I do hope. Theseus is the Duke of the land Athens, okay? Duke means, let me tell you, the male ruler of the land, okay? So Theseus appeared there. While these two couple were making this plan, they were discussing to go back to Athens. At that moment, Theseus appeared. Actually, Theseus came to the jungle, to the wood for hunting with his people. And what had happened when he appeared there? This is the question. An answer of this question is, Theseus' unexpected arrival resulted in the immediate withdrawal of the death sentence and the consent to the marriages of Demetrius to Helena and Lysander to Hermia. He further ordered the weddings to take place on the same day on which Hermia was to be executed. So my dear students, the appearance of Theseus, the Duke, okay, totally changed the ending of the story. These two couples were planning to go back to Athens and to convince Hermia's father Aegeus. But when Theseus appeared there, when he came there, he could understand all these things. Theseus came to know all these things, and he immediately withdrew the death sentence against Hermia.